wait a second, this isn't. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is pretty much a perfect encapsulation of everything I love about gaming. Style in the eyes and ears department, but most of all, style in the gameplay department. You're expressing yourself through the game moment to moment in a way where you might even find yourself setting your own goals. Whereas you could be forwarding the plot or gathering XP or making number go up, now you've just decided to get up there or make a combo with an extra digit than you've gotten before. This shit has Riz, and you'd better believe it's special to me. In the same way I'll blabber on and on about my love of Sonic's expressive movement, the options you're given to play and enjoy BRC are VRE cool. Intrinsically fun and expressive gaming. This is also not the game I want to talk about today. Persona as a franchise is so well known for its social link system that it's actually hard to remember that it didn't exist for the first 2 or I guess kinda 3 entries. Not until good old shoot yourself game did we have a gamified touch grass system, a system that absolutely defines the franchise today. As a matter of fact, you're probably more likely to hear Persona fans describing their favorite relationships with their favorite characters than their escapades in Tartarus or Mementos or any of that JRPG shit. And that makes sense, right? Because like social links are the reward, the thing you want. You want to get closer to Makoto or, this big ol' hunk of man. You're willing to suffer just a tad for that rewarding jingle, that positive affirmation. Games with these social systems can vary a lot. It can be an SRPG franchise and a little bit of spice to its do or die revival. It could be a game like a Sona or a FF, capitalizing on the already well-loved characters of these games. But in my humble opinion, no game has started and run with this concept quite as well as... Now, I already hear you saying, I'll say for you, I'll repeat it back. Actually, all dating sims are built around this concept. And you are mostly correct. Social linkage type systems where you talk to mostly girls with the goal of mostly make them like you is mostly a common gameplay loop. But that's not really what Sakura Wars is all about. And I promise you, I was sure that this is what Sakura Wars would be about. I was positive that it would be extremely Japanese, and I was absolutely correct about that assumption. However, Sakura Wars is not a dating sim with strategy combat. It's also not a strategy combat game with a dating sim. It is, honestly, a thing all its own. SEGA themselves define it as a
dramatic adventure,
which I don't think captures much of the nuance at all. What I'm trying to say here is everything really comes together in Sakura Wars. You're not slogging through the slaying enemies to get back to slaying pretty girls. It really nails the duality it so often laments within its own world, that these beautiful theater chicks just so happen to be the only ones suited to using their spirit powers to control these badass mechs. And I realize as I'm saying this that it sounds absolutely ridiculous. I really dig the 1920s Japanese steampunk vibe too. I don't want to spoil much of the plot, which is why you're mostly seeing the first chapter in the background here, but the Taisho era of Japan was quite an interesting choice for a game like this. A little fantasy steampunk, but not in the default Western vibe we so often get in fiction. Instead, we have a country of warriors fighting itself about the direction of its future, represented by the new steamy tech and westernization. I think it's pretty obvious to anybody, even if you haven't played this game, that Sakura Wars has very little of what I describe liking about video games. It looks about as default 90s anime as it could be. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure a number of you wouldn't have even clicked on this video if I'd stylized the thumbnail with the how to draw anime-ass character designs this game throws in your face. You seem to have very little freedom in how you interact with this world, and the strategy battles, while certainly engaging, don't really have the same kind of expressiveness or movement as a Sonk, Mar, or a Jet Set. Honestly, it all comes down to execution. Sakura Wars does not feel like a video game at all, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's just not really overt and heavy-handed with its mechanics. It doesn't slam you with tutorials about how to social, how to raise level with girl. Instead, it simply presents you with a list of how happy these girls are, in order, and how their happiness will affect their stats on the battlefield. And yeah, it has chime, and it has anti-chime, so that you know when you fucked up or fucked down, but what you should say and do is never quite as simple as that. Sometimes these girls need a leader, a captain, and need to be treated like subordinates. And sometimes you just need to look past that and understand their feelings and who they are. But let's be real, sometimes, and guys out there, this blew my fucking mind. Sometimes you just need to keep your mouth shut. This mechanic is so freaking cool. You're under the clock the whole time, even while you're reading the responses. And if you can't decide what to say, sometimes just a couple seconds, you stand there like a true gamer and say nothing at all in the most awkward possible moment. This shit is so real, so well designed, and it honestly, unironically made me feel better at life when I got better at it. And I'm not kidding at all. The payoff is really strong. It's intrinsic. You really get to understand these girls, not in a video gamey, I decided I would choose the answers that my queen would like kind of way, because these characters aren't never one note like that. It's not the studious one and the fun one. Instead, it's the kind of bitchy one who doesn't really ever seem to get off her ass and be helpful, only to realize that she's been doing a ton of seemingly aloof, but actually super cunning and genius things, and actually kind of just has the ick about being worried about and fussed over. You ever done a full 180 on a character? Cause like, dang, man. And on the battlefield, it's just as organic. The girls you understand the best will be the best understood here as well. And since the girls kind of work like different chess pieces with different skills, your relationships with them will completely vary the style and flavor of strategy that you can experiment with. This shit is freaking ridiculous, and I love it. So, now for the victory pose. How many hours, dear viewer, do you think that this Japanese RPG from 1996 takes to fully complete? By an act of gamer god itself, this game manages to clock in at a completely reasonable, well-paced, meaningful 18 hours. And it did it a full year before that guy slinked onto the scene. Damn. Give this one a try. There's a bomb-ass translation project by these cool people you can see on the screen. They did an amazing and super tasteful job as far as I can tell. I grabbed a copy of the game off of Buy for like $12. It came with everything, the Saturn mouse, a mouse pad, all this other stuff. It's awesome. Sakura Wars might not be as relevant as it was in the late 1990s in Japan, but I can certainly see why it's earned its place among Sega's best-selling franchises.